Yes, Aradhana, you are audible.
Kavita ma'am, are you there? मैम को बोलूं अपना ऑडियो भी ऑफ कर दें क्या तबस्सुम मैम को? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Department of English, Government Delhi PG College, Tirumiri, Korea, I, Dr. Aradhana Goswami, welcome you all in the sixth session of 7 days National Workshop, Issues and Challenges of Learning and Teaching English from Home in Pandemic. I extend warm and cordial welcome to our patron and principal, Dr. Aarti Tiwari ma'am. I extend greetings of hospitality to our eminent speaker of the day, Dr. Nargis Tabassum. My hearty welcome to organizing secretary, Dr. Kavita Krishnamurthy. I welcome all the members of advisory committee and technical staff of the college. I also take the opportunity to gladly welcome all the teachers, scholars, students, participants, viewers who are participating in this workshop from different parts of the country. I welcome you all. British educationists and missionaries took an active interest in education in India and helped establish institutions for studying Oriental language as well as English and other European languages. By this time, Bengal, especially Kolkata, had become the seat of British administration, and this turned it into a hub of educational institutions. The goal of teaching English as a second language at the primary level in the West Bengal is to ensure that the students are able to speak and write in that language. Now, the teaching learning process of English is continued as per the prescribed guidelines of NCF 2005 on English as a second language at lower primary level. And the present government of West Bengal has more proposals to establish new English medium primary schools. Now, learning English as a second language at primary level becomes inseparable as well as unavoidable in West Bengal's present education scenario. West Bengal is the land of art and literature. Many prominent authors, poets, and great intellectual personalities come from the holy land of West Bengal. Gopal Krishna Gokhale had once remarked, "What Bengal thinks today, India thinks tomorrow." Our today's speaker, Dr. Nargis Tabassum, is also from West Bengal. Before I start the session, I would like to introduce speaker of the day, Nargis Tabassum ma'am. Dr. Nargis Tabassum is Assistant Professor in Department of English, Jaipur Panchanan Roy College, affiliated to Kolkata University, Jaipur, Howrah, West Bengal. Her objective as a teacher is excel in the field of teaching and research and guide students to reach greater heights. Her specialization is Greek drama and Indian English drama. Her area of interest are American literature, literary theory, gender studies, film studies, English language teaching, communicative English, and Indian English. Presently, she is teaching English honors and communicative English. She did MPhil and PhD from University of Lucknow. She is net qualified. She had attended many national and international faculty development programs and workshops. Her papers are published in many national and international reputed journals. She has participated and presented papers in many conferences and seminars. Today, the topic of Dr. Nargis Tabassum is stumbling blocks to online English classroom sailing through the pandemic. Now, I humbly invite Dr. Nargis Tabassum for her talk. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, Aradhana, am I audible? Dr. Aradhana ma'am.
Mute her.
You are audible, ma'am.
Okay. A warm greetings to everyone present here. It is a proud privilege to be here. And at the very outset, I would like to extend my gratitude to Honorable Principal Ma'am of Government Lahiri PG College, Dr. Aarti Tiwari ma'am. I must take this opportunity to congratulate her and appreciate her for organizing this workshop. And as I know from Aradhana already that that your college has been organizing such academic endeavors from time to time, and that is very inspiring. I really appreciate that. I would also like to extend my greetings and regards to Dr. Kavita Krishnamurthy ma'am and convey my best wishes to all the uh, scholars, dignitaries, all the academicians, all the students present here who have joined the session. And last but not the least, I would like to thank Dr. Aradhana Goswami for her wonderful job she has been doing. And I, of course, for this kind introduction. And I must not forget to appreciate all the speakers. As I have been carefully listening to all of them, and I must say that they have given very wonderful and insightful sessions. So, can I share my screen, Aradhana, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You
Okay.
can share.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
This COVID-19 pandemic has posed an unprecedented and unforeseen challenge worldwide. The snowball effect of this novel coronavirus is not a global threat to healthcare sector alone. Besides global economy, human resources, commercial industries, sports and entertainment world, tourism, social lives, geopolitics, and psychological health, its all pervasive influence has wreaked havoc in education system as well. The overnight paradigm shift from regular classroom to the remote one has put us all on the same boat. As teachers and learners, we are going through an existential time for higher education, as conceded by Gordon G., the president of West Virginia University. And in today's presentation, I will attempt at traversing through the challenges and tracing possible heuristics in Indian remote classrooms, specifically online English classrooms during this COVID pandemic. As we go along, let me tell you one small story. There is this fable about the legendary Persian king Solomon. One day, a sultan requests King Solomon to invent him a sentence which should be true and appropriate in all times and situations. King Solomon, worldly wise as he was, responds with this phrase, In nis bogzarat. This is a Persian phrase which means, This too shall pass. These few words speak for 1,000 philosophic utterances. How expressive, how chastening in the hour of pride, and how consoling in the hour of afflictions. Whenever we feel proud of ourselves that we have achieved so much, we have to remember that this too shall pass. And again, when we are suffering from afflictions, from pain, then also this world will serve as a consolation that this too shall pass. It is impossible to imagine a thought more truly and universally applicable to human affairs than these words. Everything is transitory, temporary, and ephemeral. So is corona. History of pandemic shows that they go away. So COVID is not permanent. We will sail through this troubled water sooner or later. What I mean here is we need some rule of thumbs, some practical heuristics approaches to sustain this crisis. Then again, there is another story of Isaac Asimov's science fiction, the fun they had. And I believe that most of us have read this. In the science fiction, this seems very prophetic at this time, where Asimov had compared real school with the physical one with human teachers with computerized homeschooling, where the students are taught in from 1:1 student teacher ratio at their home, and every course is tailored and designed according to the age and intelligence level of the student. Individual attention seems to be the mantra of this kinds of school. And in the story, we have a girl of 11 years old, Margie, and a boy, Tom, who is 13 years old. And they are the students of this futuristic kinds of school. And they are living in the year 2157. These children think that a man is not smart enough to be a teacher. And in the later part of the story, however, they try to imagine how the children's of the older time of school, that means in our time, must have been enjoying their time in those buildings where the buildings were abuzz with where the students were swarming there, and they had so much fun. So I think Asimov underpinned the problem of an entirely technology mediated learning, which tends to have a hiatus of human connection, the fun that Margie and Tom could never have. The remote teaching during this corona milieu has the greatest drawback of this gap or this gulf of interaction, which needs to be breached. A face to face interaction in a regular classroom, pre COVID classroom, where the verbal and non-verbal communication took place among students themselves as well as with their teachers, has become remote both literally and figuratively. Now, the general principles of pedagogy and management strategies, as well as the teacher's educational philosophy, influence the classroom instruction. Another crucial determinant here is the classroom demographics. The sudden transposition from online classroom to this transposition to online classroom from the real one has relocated several defining factors of a classroom. And as the diagram shows, we can see that some of the things have changed where some of them have not. Who is teaching and who is learning, or what we are teaching or what we are learning hasn't changed. But where we are teaching has changed completely. It's the platform that has changed. So my question is, can the how of teaching, that means the method that we have been teaching all along, can this be the same in this scenario? I think it's not, because we have the formula that we are applying on a real classroom, in a face-to-face classroom, is not applicable in this unprecedented scenario. So we have to devise something new. We have to think of something that will be appropriate in this situation. Now, teaching is an adaptive skill that we have that has gone through various changes since the time of Socrates. Through the centuries, several methodological and innovative and philosophic strategies kept reshaping this domain. The advent of internet completely revolutionized this process. In this fast changing, globalized, and digitally connected ecosystem, we were discussing the relevance of smart classrooms, flipped classrooms, blended learnings, and MOOCs. In the meantime, this corona or COVID-19 swept in this digitally in this world universe of digital divide, where we have examples of countries like Netherlands, where adaptive technical skills are being adopted, are being applied in the primary and secondary level of schooling. We have also on the flip side of it ample examples of remote villages in South Asian countries like India, where every student was not having a smartphone, let alone computer or laptop. And the students having a laptop with 4G connections, and the teachers all prepped up with teaching skills in online teaching is something an unattainable utopia in Indian scenario. And if we can say that in our country, where metropolitan colleges have the resources to handle this sudden shift from regular to online classes, but the rural, small, cash-strapped institutions sustaining on shoestrings, they cannot manage to equip themselves with services for remote learning. A seamless and uniform dissemination of remote teaching learning reaching every nook and cranny of India is an impossibility. But we must look at the brighter side of it. When we are given a half glass of water, instead of complaining that the glass is half empty, I think we should also focus that we have a glass half filled with water. We should be thankful that we are breathing in a time when we have this option of connecting with each other through internet. Like in this very platform, in this very workshop, resource persons from various states, participants from various states of India are present here. They are connected in this platform, that too from the very comfort and space of their own home. So we should say that we must not complain, and we should go along with whatever we have and wherever we are. From there, we have to begin. We have to start thinking what we can do. We have to look at the brighter side of it. क्योंकि रफ्तार ही जिंदगी है, हम रुक नहीं सकते, क्योंकि अगर हम रुक गए तो हम पीछे हो जाएंगे. Now let's see what are the traditional methodologies that we have been applying so long. We have this teacher-centric classrooms where teachers formally play the role of authorities. The teacher is an instructor, and he is an expert who plays the sage on the stage, who transmits knowledge to the supposed empty vessels, that is students. It is generally a unidirectional flow of knowledge. Students have passive role of receptors, and a lecture method can be an example. Then we have this student-centric method as well, a student-centric approach, where in a student-centric classrooms, inquiry-based learning is encouraged. Teachers and students are play equally active role. Cooperation and teamwork takes place here. And so what we do in our classrooms, in a real classroom, is we combine both the aspects, some positive aspects of both these approaches, which was sometimes intermediated by technology. We used to apply technology in our instructions from time to time, but that was not the sole the only way, the only escape it, as right now we have. That was never the scene at that time. But as I was saying, that we should because we have something positive with us, we should look at the pink side of it. So let's see what are the situation, what are the pros in this COVID situation. In the generation Z students, the generation Z students, which means students who are born after 1990s, and we are lucky enough to have them as our students because they are tech savvy and well informed. They can gather information with mere click. दुनिया भी सचमुच हमारे हाथों की मुट्ठी में है because we have the smartphone with us. And we should be thankful that many teaching, meeting, and classroom apps are available. Teachers and learner can remain connected in synchronous and asynchronous mode via online class and social networking sites, where there is every possibility of exploring arenas of discussions, sharing information, and debating. And finally, we have to focus that interaction and enthusiasm can make them competent in the targeted area, and they can move the ladder to the next level. But we must not be blind to the problems we have, because we have to know the weaknesses, the gaps, the lacuna of this process, because only then a remedy will be possible. We have to address those remedy, focusing upon the problems that we are facing at this situation. So the problems with learners, let's have a look at here. Unlike a regular class, the learners have lesser scope for peer learning, when one of the four objectives of learning, as mapped out by Jack Delow's report for UNESCO, namely learning to live together. Now, I must say that here Dello has given this report where he has spoken about the four pillars of learning. Learning has four pillars. One is learning to know. The second one is learning to live. The third one is learning to be. And last but not the least is learning to live together. And this learning to live together, having for its objective of experiencing shared purpose, that again encourages teamwork and leadership. This somehow gets compromised in this COVID scenario, in this online classrooms. Students are not aware of the etiquettes of online communications. This is another problem. And again, we have the problem of that we often anticipate of the breach of security and privacy, which keep lurking behind. Earlier, I was taking my classes, online classes in Zoom platform, but later, when these news are coming that Zoom is not secure enough, then we switch to this Google Meet platform. But here again, we find that this is not so user friendly like Zoom. But again, I have to discuss with my students. We are even now we are on the discussion phase that whether we should really switch on to that Zoom platform or not. So these are the practical problems that we are having. Then students type with autocorrect instead of taking notes. And for students of English, this is a very problematic, because taking notes, which may have a negative effect on learning and learning spellings, because we are using this autocorrect. But it's not the students alone who are having problem there. We teachers too have our own shares of problems, because some of us are less tech savvy, and they end up becoming sage on the stage. And his dry lectures lead students to boredom and hence fail to effectively pick their interest. Now, जब मैं पहले पढ़ा रही थी क्लासरूम में, I could I could keep an eye on each and every of my students. I could tell from their face who is paying attention and who's not. But here, when they have muted their mics, they have even stopped their screen, their videos, then it is very difficult to say if he's paying attention or not. And if I keep doing the things that I have been doing in my regular lectures, if I am not going to deliver something that is picking up their interest, then I think the whole purpose of this classroom, whole purpose of teaching tends to nothing. So transmission of information by providing only relevant, quote unquote, relevant information with materials given in PDF format doesn't work out well. So these are the problem with the teachers. And then there are some common issues that is faced by both the teachers and the students. This virtual platform hinders non-verbal communication and kinesthetic learning, and there's lesser scope for feedback. Now, most of us have this habit of moving, roaming in the classroom while teaching. We have certain postures, certain body movements. But at present situation, we have to focus all the time on the camera if I'm visible or not. And this makes us sometimes self-conscious, and where we cannot put are 100%. And students too, some of the students have this habit of learning by interacting with their teachers, by seeing their movement and gestures. They too find it difficult to uh, focus on this kind of classrooms. Then we have this problem of technical glitches that sometimes become overbearing, and spending too much of time on the screen is not gratifying for health. And even the HRD Ministry of India circulated guidelines for the time frame for online classrooms, which effectively reduces stipulated time to complete a course. Because हमें focus करना पड़ता है कि I have to finish my course within this time, but I am left with lesser time. So how I'm going to manage, how we are going to manage, this is the problem with the students and with the teachers as well. Let's move along to our next slide. As we are discussing online English class, we should also consider the stumbling blocks to learning English as a second language and English as a foreign language. For most of us, English itself is a hard nut to crack, isn't it? There are so many problems, and of which I think these 6 are very glaring ones. So have a look at them. We have this negative transfer. What is negative transfer? Negative transfer means using the same structure of source language in the targeted language. What I mean here is that if I'm a Bengali student, I'm trying to learn. I know the structure of Bengali language. English is something different for me, but I'm trying to find a way to understand this through my language. Every language has its own structure, and the learners attempt to adapt their native language structures with second language. This is why learning second language through the first language has its own shortcomings. And in India, we don't have other options. So this is a problem. We are taught grammar translation method. And in this grammar translation method, we are often told that you have to learn the grammar, then you have to know the translations. And what happens that we start thinking in Bengali or maybe in Hindi, then we translate it in English, then we try to speak up. और तब तक क्या होता है, सामने जो भी है, we miss the bus. He just goes away. So the spontaneity is missing, and here the negative transfer of impacts very badly. Now there is this cultural difference. Cultural difference, like negative transfer, it also has some negative impact. Culture is about the sense of belonging to a specific community with shared history, language, heritage, myth, ethnicity. The role of culture in learning a new language is very important, because sometimes learners know everything about a culture. For example, take Hindi. In India, due to the influence of cinema and the telesoaps, even my Bengali students, all of them are very proficient in Hindi. There is no problem with them in understanding Hindi, and some of them even speak Hindi very fluently. And I can say that that is so with the case with I think Punjabi also, because it is thanks to the songs that we know so many Punjabi words. They do not seem so foreign to me, but such is not the case with English, because if you speak about Punjabi or Hindi, we have the same cultural background, but English is not so. And the background information about the culture and community is highly important. Does English culture refer to the culture of British or the culture of America or Canada or Australia or South Africa? It appears ambiguous, because learners are challenged by specific vocabularies that are culture specific. Understanding these vocabularies need cultural awareness and familiarity. I can give some example. Say if you have one American friend and he will say you, where is the flashlight? But your British friend will ask, where is the torch? Your American friend can say, let's watch a movie. But the British one will say, let's watch a film. So there are not only differences in spellings and pronunciations or dictions, there are also a few differences in the way they use grammar. Now, moving to the next point, that is environment. Now, environment is the place, is referred to the class atmosphere, the geographical space, the cultural system through which the learners learn the language. In our English classrooms, what happens most of the time, the students are interacting with each other in their mother tongue, and often with the teachers also interact with them in their comfortable version of their mother tongue. I'm not saying that they do not interact in English. Sometimes if we take, or if we think, if we for some time, that all of them are conversing in English in their classroom, but what happens after that? When he leaves the classroom, he spends, say, 2 to 3 hours in his college or school. But after that, when he's there in the larger environment with his family, with his friend, or maybe in the marketplace, he is not having the exposure to English language. And whatever he had learned in this classroom, due to the lack of practice, he seems to forget them. He will never develop the level of comfort that he should have because of this environment. Now, accent and pronunciation, the next point. Pronunciation is the utterances of word, and accent is how we pronounce certain words. Now, English is very complex language, and being foreign, it has its own kind of spelling and pronunciation rules. Sometimes by seeing the spelling alone, we cannot say how a word is supposed to be pronounced. For example, if I say date, date, it can mean that today is 25th of August. And again, date can mean that I'm speaking about the fruit. Uh, and if I speak DEBT, debt, then though it is pronounced, the difference in the pronunciation, there is difference in pronunciation, but if we do not focus properly, then we will not tell the difference between all these three. And even there are examples that some even may pronounce this word DEBT as debit, because we may not know, we may not have the knowledge that B is silent here. So there are ample examples like that. So accent and pronunciation is always a problem. And if we cannot adopt the proper pronunciation and accent, then we will not have the mastery over this language. The next point is grammar and vocabulary, which is very important. And the other day I was watching the video of Tiwari sir. He was giving a wonderful presentation, and he had showed you how important grammar and vocabulary is. What should be how much stock of words I should have to speak properly, because sometimes we want to say something, but we cannot find proper word to express ourselves. That is due to the lack of vocabulary. So these are the problems that we are having all the time in our class. And then there is attitude. One of the main factors that strangely affect the result of learning language is personal. Some learners in the beginning of this process negatively react toward the language, which may lead to the lack of motivation, lack of confidence, lack of stress, anxiety, and fear of making mistakes. And it is due to this negative attitude that the student shies away. He is not comfortable enough, he's not confident enough to speak up. He deters himself from asking questions because he know that he will be made fun of if he speaks it wrong. So these are the points, these are the problems, these are the stumbling blocks, I think, are the major impediments in our way of learning English. But I have a question. Can we turn this stumbling block into our stepping stone? Let's have a look. I will begin from the same points. I will begin from attitude. Now, attitude is everything. If I'm determined enough, if I will not feel the same way, and here I must say that the role of the teacher is very significant. I have to encourage my students that there is no harm if you are making some mistakes. Because when जब हम चलना सीखते हैं, कोई भी बच्चा जब चलना सीखता है तो पहले वो बहुत बार गिर जाता है, लेकिन with time he learns to walk. So जब हम कुछ नया सीख रहे हैं, we will have problems, we will have these problems, but we have to retain a positive attitude. जो कुछ भी है, I must learn this, I have to learn this, I have to work hard on this, so that I will be able to learn. Now moving to the next point, grammar and vocabulary. The pandemic is a curse, but think deeply that you are allowed more time than you had earlier due to your routine life. Now you have ample time, you can pursue your interest. Now you can focus on the field that you are weak, where you are weak. You can eliminate your weaknesses. You can go and watch those YouTube channels or various blogs you can read, or you can read your grammar books. You can pick up your grammar books, you can start practicing. You should determine that मुझे आज एक नया word सीखना है, and in this way your vocabulary tank will be much richer than it was. So this is the positive side of it. We can make this stumbling block into a stepping stone. Now, accent and pronunciation, this can be also achieved through practice. There is no skill that cannot be honed by practice. So we have this apps. You have your smartphone. Whenever you have any doubt about how a word is pronounced, search in Google. There are so many websites that will give you, and even in YouTube you will find the proper pronunciation of this word. Keep listening to them and practice with it, and I'm sure that that you will find that you have excelled that level. Now, environment. I can say that how can this environment is not positive for me to learn my things. If you don't have the environment, you can create the environment for your own. You have the option of arranging Google Meeting. Why don't you arrange your meetings with your friends where you can practice your speaking skill? So go ahead and watch those channels, watch those YouTube channels, watch whatever source is available. Go and make yourself exposed to these things. When you are and now coming to the cultural difference, yes, we don't have much scope of learning. Then you have this Amazon Prime, Hotstar, and so many things are there. You even have your television, you have your internet, you have YouTube. Go and listen to the English, native English shows, or in your radio, in your television, in the YouTube, in the streaming apps. Go and find for the, if you are watching a film, instead of watching the dubbed Hindi versions, why don't you go for the original one? Say you are watching Avengers Endgame, I will recommend you to watch the original one, because it is it will expose you to the culture, and by gradually finding yourself in that culture, you will be able to overcome this hurdle as well. And about negative transfer, I will say I also have a trick here for this negative transfer, because in this field of negative transfer, now tell me English is difficult for us, but how about French and Spanish? And for Bengali and Hindi speaking students, I will say that even Tamil, Telugu, and Malayalam, they are complete foreign to us, because we don't know any words, or maybe one or two words we may have learned, but we don't know this language. Now, I have one trick. If you love watching movies, then watch some German or Spanish or French or Tamil or Malayalam film. And I'm sure you will not understand a single word of that. But if you put your subtitles on, then with their performances and gestures, you will understand the theme, and your subtitle will help you to understand the film properly. And after some time, after 15 minutes or so, you will find strangely that you are understanding the whole thing because of English, because here English is the vehicle and not that foreign language. So you have to, for this negative transfer, we have to find the positive side of English from there. So these are the things I thought maybe worth talking about, maybe worth pointing out. And I hope if we try to focus in that way, we will be able to eliminate these problems, we will be able to turn these stumbling blocks into our stepping stones. Now, every language has four skills, and so is English language. In language learning skill, we have to learn these four skills. What are they? They are reading skill, writing, and listening and speaking. These are the four skills that we need to practice. Reading skill. Reading is a skill in English language which enriches the vocabulary tank and improves language comprehension. We have to start reading. We have to focus on the vocabularies. While reading, we have to find out what new word I have learned today, and we have to find some interesting topics. There are so many apps in your mobiles, like web novels. They are very light readings. They are not too hard, too difficult to understand, and they are entertaining and as well. And if you download these apps and you start sorry reading them, you will find that your practice of reading skill is getting better day by day. And if you like, you can begin with short stories and children's book, because English is easier there, and you will learn a lot of vocabulary there. Now, the writing skill. Writing is an important skill in language which impacts on the result of learning a language. And we have to follow these techniques, follow spelling rules. We have to know the abbreviations and punctuation. This is very important. If we put the punctuation marks wrong, then the meaning will change entirely. And to improve our writing, it is good to write poems, short stories. You have, again, I am saying that you have so much time. We all have so much time. We can now try our creative faculties. If I like to write poems, try your hand in writing English poems. If you like to write stories, try writing them in English. And if you are maintaining, if you have accounts in the social handles like Facebook and Instagram, when you are posting something, post that in English. That will also improve your writing skill. Listening skill is very important as other skills, because learners will receive input through listening, and then they would be able to transform their input to output. And some techniques to improve listening skills are: listen to English songs, listen to short stories, radio and TV channels, especially native English channels. And I know that most of the students and most of us are having in our smartphones these Ghana apps or Savans apps. There are so many podcasts out there in English. Go for them. Make your habit, make yourself exposed to this platforms, and listen to those English channels, and your listening skill will be improved in that way. Now, speaking of skill, this is the final skill. It is another important skill in English language. It means the way of producing sound, utterances. So pronunciation and accent is very important here. And how can we improve our English? We can join English clubs and courses. Now we will say that no, the clubs are not open. You can join online courses where you can speak freely and fluently. And when you have your fellow students who are joining, who are on the same board, they are not going to judge you. So there is no fear of being laughed at. And what will happen that you will improve your skill. And the role of a teacher is very important. We have to motivate our learners to speak English, and a suitable environment should be provided. And this environment can be achieved on our own. Like I said earlier, that when you don't have your classes, arrange Zoom meetings or join the meeting platform with your friends, and there you come up and speak in English. Try this one, and I'm sure that is going to help a lot. Now I'm going to say something about this Bloom's taxonomy, which is given by Benjamin Bloom. Actually, he was the chairman, and those who are associated with this education field, they already know what this is. And these are the steps of learning: remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. These are the hierarchical structure of learning, how the stages through which we learn. Now, the teacher should aim at the cognitive development of the students such that a learner would become competent in one area and then move up the ladder up to the next level of difficulty, as this taxonomy suggests. Here, I would like to quote Shakespeare's famous line from 12th line. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thirst upon them. Leaving the second point, I say that yes, some are born great, some are born teachers, and some are really, some people have really good IQs. They can remember, they have photographic memories, they can remember very well. If I don't have that, I should not be sad, or there is nothing to fear, because I can always practice, I can always motivate myself, and then I'll be able to remember them. So if I'm not born great, I have to achieve greatness through practice, through my endeavors, through my determination. And after we remember and recall the facts, we move to the next level, that is understand. And in this level of understanding, the role of teacher is very important. During this online classes, we have to always keep it in mind that I have to make the thing interesting, so that their level of understanding will be deeper. And when we have understood the concept, then only we will be able to apply our concept in the practical scenario. And in my literature class, I like to talk to my students, and I speak with them so much about films. I know that they will say that ma'am is always speaking about films. I do so because I know that they watch film, they love to watch film, even I do. And when I'm teaching them history of English literature, that may seem sometimes boring to remember those chronologies. But whenever I'm going to relate or correlate them with an event that is happening in the cinema, there at that point they will be able to correlate with the dry facts, and somehow they will be able to understand that in a better way. They will be able to, what I mean here is that we have to learn to correlate between the events, whatever is happening in our life or whatever is happening in literature. So we always try to correlate. I also even speak about whatever they have learned in Bengali literature, or whatever the children's rhymes they have learned, because I want to bring them there to the unknown, from the level of their whatever they know, from the known to the journey to the unknown is easier. So we have to learn to correlate these things, correlate these facts. And after this step, analyzing, evaluating, and creating, these are the very significant and very deeper level of our understanding and knowledge and learning that we have to focus. And if we don't have a solid base of our learning, of our understanding, of our remembering, then we will never be able to analyze the situation, we will never be able to evaluate or create something. And for this we have to encourage the students to speak up, to ask questions, because questioning also is a technique that gives you that leads you to analyze the situation. So we should encourage questioning. We should always try to stop between our lectures and ask them questions to come to know what they have understood. We can play this HAM game. HAM means half a minute games. So this will not take much time. Say I have taught them 12th night, and then I can name any character, and I will ask them that you have to say it within 30 seconds, whatever you feel about him. So the level of his understanding will be evaluated in that way. And when we have achieved all these levels of understanding, then only we will be able to create something. And a teacher should always encourage the student. Giving information is not our motto. Our motto is to इंस्पायर देम, दे विल लर्न ऑन देयर ओन. हम टीचर्स हम कुछ नहीं सिखा सकते, हम उन्हें बस वी आर द गाइड्स, वी कैन शो देम द वे, दे विल क्रिएट ऑन देयर ओन. Now some of the things, some of the points that I have found from my own experience as a teacher, I want to share with you all. Grappling with a certain change is difficult for both teachers and learners. So, breaking the ice by trying to create the real classroom situation can eliminate the psychological barrier. We have this psychological barrier. We do not feel at home because this platform is very new to us, and we have to break the ice. We have to recreate the same rapport that we had in our real physical classrooms. Purposeful body movements, gestures, voice modulations in a regular classroom cannot be underrated. Now, the next point is self evaluation. This always works to motivate learners. Teachers should use apps and tools that provide options for quizzes where learners can track their own progress. When you will be able to find that I have scored 8 out of 10, I can do better. This will give him a purpose. So we should give them the option. Survey Monkey is there. There is this option in Google Classroom as well. So we should explore these options. The third thing is a flexible time frame. Now I'm giving you assignment, but I know that the same smartphone is used by his parents. So I cannot ask him that you have to submit this on the very next day. I have to be flexible with the time frame. He will have his own pace of time, and then he can submit his assignment. And engagement is the key to teaching and learning process. We have to engage the students in collaborative inter or intra college projects or small web workshops. One can think of collaborating among different colleges for arranging web lecture series or webinars. And the epigrammatic axiom of Bacon, reading maketh a complete man and conference a ready man, reverberates conspicuously in this corona milieu as well. And the next thing is encouragement. Learners should be encouraged in interactive involvement like presentations, speeches, extemporary elocutions, role playing, performance, or even creating PPTs and video contents. Now, some of the students, they are very tech savvy. They are very good at PPTs and making video contents. And when I will give him a task to make a presentations, he will have to explore several sources, and in this way he will learn. As the saying goes, I see and I forget, I listen and I forget, but I do and I learn. So by engaging them, by encouraging them through these practices, they will learn in better way, in even in this online classroom. And online FDPs, online faculty development programs, should be arranged to train teachers to use teaching apps conveniently, effectively. There is no problem if I am not very well in these tools. I am always having this option of learning, so I can learn. I'm a teacher for some years, but I'm a learner since the time of my birth. So learning never comes to an end. An ever going process. The next point is teachers should come out of their comfort zone and go those extra miles to design lessons in attractive ways by using PPTs, videos, audios, 3D diagrams, and charts instead of remaining a sage on the stage. And my next point is teachers should know how to balance between the figure of authority and the figure of a facilitator. And another significant thing is more is not always better. If I think that I'm giving you so many materials and I'm doing great good, that is not a good idea. One should detain oneself from inordinate use of YouTube and slides, and a teacher should design their own lessons and not merely borrow from sources the students can themselves fetch. There are whatever I'm giving them, if they have the option to fetch them on their own, then they will not be interested. Are ye to net pe hi mil jayega. But when they see that I'm working hard, I have made something that is not available in the net, then they will be interested. So I have to work hard. And Next point is teaching learning process should continue both in synchronous and asynchronous modes. There may be some student who is not able to, maybe for some reason, maybe due to network problem, he is unable to join the synchronous mode, the stipulated time frame, he fails to join the lecture. Then what will happen? We always have the scope of using these social networking platform. I can make WhatsApp group or FB book or whatever group we are having our social accounts in, maybe Telegram or Instagram, whatever groups we have. There we can upload our medias and file where the students can access them, so no one is left behind. They can keep a pace with the progress and the convenience of their, at the convenience of their own space and time. So whatever went on in the class, if they keep resurfacing and reappearing in these groups, and if, when by this repetition and reiteration, these materials, this concept will seep into them. And the next point is we must ensure that students acquire background knowledge parallel with practical critical thinking skills. So giving information is not the sole thing. We have to try to inculcate, to encourage them to achieve their critical thinking skills. And last but not the least, these three things, empathy, enthusiasm, and patience, they are very important for both the teachers and the learners. These are the universal apparatuses to run the mechanism of teaching and learning process in both the real classroom and remote teaching medium. We have to remember that medium of the connection has transformed. We don't have that physical connections, face-to-face interaction for that matter in this place. Only the medium has changed, but the basic objectives and aims and the basic principles of teaching and learning are the same as earlier. So there is nothing that we should be afraid of. And the final words of Gilbert Hyde in his book Teaching as an Art, these are the beautiful lines that he, and very significant lines that he has said, that it seems to be very dangerous to apply the aims and methods of science to human beings as individuals. Teaching involves emotions which cannot be systematically appraised or and employed, and human values which are quite outside the grasp of science. So teaching is not like inducing a chemical reaction. It is much more like painting a picture or creating a piece of music, composing a piece of music, or on a lower level it's like planting a garden or writing a personal letter. So there has to be this personal touch that will help us to overcome every hurdle that comes in that comes in our way in this online mode of teaching. And I would like to conclude my presentations with this beautiful poem by Emmanuel R. Knight. And here again, this echoes the same line from King Solomon, this too shall pass. When darkness falls and fiends amass, you must recall this too shall pass. When hope seem lost and not to last, you must repeat this too shall pass. As fires rage, searing sand to glass, you must remember this too shall pass. In fear and doubt, whether near or past, you must recite this too shall pass. In love alone, hold tight, hold fast. Even hail recedes, it too shall pass. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Aradhana ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nargis. Now the session is open for Q&A. Ma'am, there is a question. What
Okay.
are the problems faced by teacher while online teaching in context of content preparation and time management? This is the
Yes.
question for all teachers, I should say.
Okay. This is a very significant thing. Like I said, that time frame is very important. time frame is very important, and as the HRD ministry has condensed the time frame, they have mapped the time frame for different level of thinking. That is a real challenge. Even I think when I was conducting this Zoom meeting, they have the unpaid version of the Zoom had this time frame for 40 to 45 minutes, and most of the time it happened that the meeting timed out and I could not finish in time. So it will come with practice. We cannot go on. Yes, there is always the problem with the time frame, but we should try. We have this mode of synchronous and asynchronous. We have to be active in both these modes. So I would suggest that whenever I'm unable to finish, I can always if I have time, because I'll be taking back to back classes. Say the day I take the class of semester 3, I also take the class of semester 5 on the same day. So maybe when my time is over, I will be attending to the next classroom. uh, in this way, here I would suggest that we can upload the materials whatever was not given. We can share the handouts in the asynchronous mode. We can share the media and the file, and whatever we have to focus on the salient features. We have to, like I said, that we have to devise our own methods. In this way, we have, by trial and error method, we have to move forward. So we can always rearrange another meeting if possible, and if it is not possible, then we have to active in the asynchronous mode. We have to share these things in the group. I hope I have answered your question properly.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. And another question, uh, some teachers can't operate technology for online classes. Now, what are the tips for those teachers, those who are
Yes,
unable to handle the
we cannot
technology?
operate, but the thing is, the first thing is that we have to be open to the concept that learning is an ever growing process. So we have to learn them.
Yeah,
I should not feel ashamed that I have to learn something from the newcomers. The new generations of learners, they are very tech savvy. Like the other day, Yesha ma'am was speaking about the concept of the digital immigrants and digital citizens. The new generations are digital citizens. They are born in this digital area. They are very much comfortable, but some of us are the digital immigrant. We are not very tech savvy. So I would like to suggest that like I had already pointed out, that more FDPs should be conducted to equip these teachers with these technological methods, how we should handle this platform. And there are YouTube channels. I was Vishwanath Beecher sir has one channel that is very informative. He has shown how we can use this different modes of online teaching. He's having his videos on Google Teaching, on the platform of Moodle. So we can always go there, we can find them. We have to be learners first before becoming teachers. That is what is needed here.
hello, Dr. Kavita. Is there any more question? Hello. I think there is no more question, ma'am.
Okay, good for me. So
Okay.
thank
So now
you.
the highlights of your today's talk are, you shared a very beautiful fable and the story, the fun they had, and this too shall pass, ma'am. And you motivated us all that this pandemic crisis will over soon because everything is temporary. And you
Yes,
said that learning and teaching is not changed in this crisis, only the platform is changed. And we have to think something new as a learner, you know. So teaching is an adaptive skill. We have to adopt all the technologies as a teacher. And we are lucky to have techno-savvy students as well as new technology and tools. And enthusiasm and interaction can motivate students. They are the two weapons through which we can encourage our students.
definitely.
And you talked about the four pillars of learning, and learning live together. This is the main point. And there are some practical problems with technology also. problem with teachers as well as with students too. Because English is a second language, so there is negative transfer, cultural difference, accent, and pronunciation. They are sometimes big problem for students. And students can just eliminate their weaknesses in their leisure time. They can create their learning environment by using knowledgeable sources, because all the time they used to watch the videos, the TikTok, something something. तो जो वक्त वो अपने इन कामों में लगा रहे हैं, इस क्रिएटिविटी में लर्निंग के लिए भी वो उसे यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं. एंड वी हैव टू फाइंड पॉजिटिव साइड ऑफ इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज. हमेशा एक चैलेंज के रूप में बच्चे देखते हैं कि आई कांट स्पीक, आई कांट अंडरस्टैंड, नहीं समझ में आता है, तो वो सिर्फ उससे दूर भागते हैं समस्याओं से. बट हम कैसे चैलेंजेस को अपॉर्चुनिटी बना सकते हैं, शायद वो उस पर ध्यान नहीं देते हैं. तो इफ दे पे अटेंशन तो इंग्लिश will be a very lovely language for them. And you also focus how to improve the four skills of English: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And you also talked about Bloom's taxonomy, and you said that questioning is very important for learners. हमें बीइंग टीचर्स उन्हें मोटिवेट करना चाहिए कि वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा अपने डाउट्स को हमारे सामने रखें, जैसे कि हम उसे पूछ पाए, क्योंकि जनरली क्वेश्चन पूछने में वो हेजिटेशन फील करते हैं, और ये इस हेजिटेशन को रिमूव करना बहुत जरूरी है टीचर्स के लिए. एंड लर्निंग नेवर कम्स टू एंड, इट इज एवर गोइंग प्रोसेस. And basic objective and principles are not changed. Only the platform is changed, and the aim of learning and teaching are same. And you also just quoted this beautiful poem, "This too shall pass." It was so, full of hope, and it was so full of the positive vibes. And it is well said that teaching is the greatest act of optimism. तो आज आपका जो लेक्चर था, द स्टम्बलिंग ब्लॉक्स, तो कि आपने बताया कि हाउ कैन वी change the stumbling blocks into the stepping stones. So it was such a wonderful session, and you enlightened us, ma'am. And really, I appreciate you for your wonderful presentation. And I hope that this session will be very useful and fruitful for all the viewers and the participants. And it was an honor to have a sincere, learned, and dynamic, talented speaker like you in the sixth session of this
I'm
webinar.
humbled. I'm really humbled. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I also enjoyed a lot, and it was really an honor to be here. And I would like to thank you for that,
And
for referring me.
now, it's the time of formal vote of thanks. So I take the privilege of proposing vote of thanks to all the dignitaries and participants, thanking the Almighty for His blessing. My warm thanks goes to our principal, respected R.K. Tiwari Madam, for her support and for her motivation. Thank you so much, ma'am, for believing in us. And I express my profound and humble gratitude to Dr. Nargis Tabassum that she accepted my invitation and she shared her ideas of and wisdom. It was a great pleasure to listen to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for enlightening the session. And
Thank you.
I
Thank you. My
also,
pleasure. It was my pleasure as well.
my deep gratitude to Bhaskar Acharya ji
Yes,
from
yes, yes.
Lucknow.
How can I
Yeah,
forget him?
yes,
Yes.
because of whom I could invite you, I could contact you, and to, thanks to him also. And my heartful thanks to Dr. Kavita Krishnamurthy, the organizing secretary of this day workshop, and my sincere thanks to technical staff, Mr. Prakash Shukla, for his constant support and help. That's why I could just organize this web workshop. And I also take this opportunity to express my special thanks to all the teachers, scholars, students, participants, and viewers who are attending, participating this web workshop for 6 days. So I'm highly thankful to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.